Hello, family. Welcome to the What Does Your Relationship with God Look Like Wednesday edition of the podcast. Today, we're honored to have Nashira Lynton on with us. Nashira is the founder and financial health mentor at Breaking Cycle LLC. She is an MBA, acceleration coach, and an accredited financial coach. Her goal is to help people gain financial success from the inside out. In short, she's a beast.
Yes. Okay. So listen. So that's the Nashira. You know.
Yeah. That's.
I know. Api Nashira. I know Api Nashira. I've worked with Nashira indirectly. We didn't do many things directly together, but every time I saw Nashira, just the biggest smile. I used to be like, does this girl ever get mad or sad or something? But it was wonderful because she was always so bright, so refreshing to talk to. Always had such a wonderful word, so encouraging. I really loved the moments we got to speak. We didn't get to speak as often as I'd hoped.
I was always at your desk.
Yeah, but
hello.
Right, but we didn't get to talk as much as I hoped to. Let me finish now. Don't be putting me on the spot, doggone it. Listen. We should have spoken more. I didn't fully grasp Nashira's greatness until the tail end of our relationship at Api, because we left, because I left and eventually Nashira left. So I didn't understand her greatness, nor was I fully in a position to receive all that she could give me. You get what I'm saying? Absolutely. And my walk with God right now allows me to say that and to see that. So I'm so appreciative that you decided to join us and that everybody gets to see what I was like, blinded to. Like, this is dope. Nashira is dope. Period. Point blank.
Well, dope recognizes dope because I would sit there while you were eating and be like, so what are you doing next? And what are you writing next? And all in her business, okay? Everything. Just sit there and be all in her business while she was stuffing her face during lunch. Just sitting there like her whole lunch period, just like, so what are you doing? And what's going on? And we had these really great creative moments.
Yeah.
Right? While we would sit there and you can sense, right, that presence of God. And even in our conversations just about the creativity and the things that he was doing for you. So, I was always on board. So when I heard the name of the podcast, I was like, this is so Lisa. Like, of course. It's exciting. So thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so looking forward to our conversation.
Awesome.
Of course.
Awesome. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, other than what I already ran down. And you could also let people know what Breaking Cycle LLC is.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. Fun fact, I love tacos and coffee, just in case anyone's listening. Never together, always apart.
I was going to ask that question, but
exactly.
Thank you.
Always apart. I have two overgrown children who are eating me out of house and home, 17 and 10.
Okay.
Two boys, and we paid off $60,000 in debt in 2018. I say we because we did it as a family. So you see those, the accolades and the awards, but that costs something, right?
Wow.
Awesome.
And we went through our own financial journey. I got to a place in my life where I had become a new believer in Jesus Christ. I grew up Catholic, and I'm sure we'll probably get to that conversation a little bit, but I had this urge, this desire to manage my money in a way that really started to align with what I was believing. And that loomed over me. And so as I started going through these different workshops, reading the books, doing the course, and doing this and doing that, I just kept feeling like a failure. I felt like a dropout. And that led me down the line of saying, I'm going to learn this until I can teach it. I had no intention of doing this for other people because I didn't really like people then. I was not smiling. I was not happy. Okay. I was actually really, I would say I didn't like people because I didn't like myself. I didn't like the place that I was in. I was disappointed with how my turned out. And because we're having these real conversations, that's really the founding of it. I found something bigger than myself, and we went on the journey together as a family. I'm a single mom, 2 kids in New York City, right? So expensive city to live in. And I thought, what would happen if I just had lost my job and had to survive, right? How am I going to feed these children who keep eating? So we go on this track of cutting things back and everything, and just doing all the works that we can do. But really that started to lead me to think about the emotions that I had tied around money, how I was compensating for being a single mom, spending on these kids, how I was showing up in love. And so when I think of breaking cycles, my business is a personal finance practice. Yep, like you mentioned, it helps people find financial success from the inside out, because I want them to align their spending with their values, right? What inspires their financial choices is so much bigger than just becoming wealthy. And so that's what it is. It's a family practice. Actually, they're part of my shareholders. They work too. Whether they be shredding paper or helping me come up with a post.
There you go. Put them to work early.
It's a family practice. It's personal finance, but really surrounded around that internal aspect of what people really value.
I love it.
I love that.
That's dope.
Now, where can anyone find you? Before we dive into it, we always like to put this out. Where can anyone find you to get more information or to have time to talk to you?
Yeah, the best place is my website. I'm not heavy on social media. My son is, not me. But my website is the best place because you can fill out the form. It's easy. It's interactive. It's www.breaking-cycles.com.
Okay.
Awesome.
So there it is. www.
And your son will be your marketing manager soon. So there you go. Since he knows social media.
He's titled himself right now as project manager.
Oh, okay.
And I think he wants to move into operations. So we'll see what happens.
There you go. Aspirations. I love it. I love it.
I love it. I love it. That's fantastic. All right. Well, let's dive right in with these questions, Ms. Nashira. I'm interested to hear your answers. All right, so let's start with, when did you fall in love with Jesus, and what did that journey look like?
Yeah, I had to think about this one, and I actually had to go back and read journals, and that's a good question. Anything that makes me think, it's cool. I would say this: I don't remember when I fell in love. I can't remember a time or a date. I just know that it gradually happened over time. So I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic school, church 3 times a week. Altar girl, okay? I was like breaking things in the industry, right? So I always loved the things of the Lord. It wasn't, you didn't have to force me to be there. I always wanted to know the things of the Lord, but I didn't have relationship. And so, growing up, I strayed away from those things, but I never stopped going to church or trying to knowing where I belonged. And back in 2010, I gave my life to the Lord watching an online message. And I wouldn't say that it was at that moment where I'm like, I fell in love. Right. But I think it was a continuous process of the sanctification, right? Like that continuous, I'm flawed, but you're not.
Yes.
Oh, I messed up, but you didn't.
Yes, come on.
That was a continual process. I would say, I think the harder the journey got, the more I fell in love.
Yes.
So along the way, we're in 2021, so about 11 years now into my walk with Christ. I would say that definitely somewhere along the line, I just was like, head over heels, like, don't give me anything else. I love you. That's it. I don't have the exact pinpoint, but it did take some time, that process, that walk.
I love that. I love that you said, and the harder it got, the more I fell in love. Because isn't it like that oftentimes with relationships, with your partner, with your friends, when we go through something rough and that person is your ride or die and they stand with you when you're ugly crying, when you don't want to do it, and they hold you up and they carry you and they say, I got you, lean on me. That's who he is to us in our times. And yes, you do fall in love more and more, or all over again.
All over again, yeah.
So absolutely. I love that you said that.
The fact that, I'm flawed.
Yes. Oh, my heart.
That's awesome right there.
Yeah.
That's a great statement right there. That just sums it up right there. You know,
oh my gosh, God, I love it. So who is God to you in your relationship right now?
I would say right now, I call him my Heavenly Papa, right? So like when I tell the kids, I'd be like, I need to go talk to my Heavenly Papa. Like, let me have a moment, you know? Because now our relationship, I feel like me and him are first name basis, right? Like I know you. Like, I don't need someone else to come in and tell me like what God is telling me, right? So
Yes.
while there's this personal, this where I attached my identity to him. So I feel like I have this connection where I can come back. I can continue to come back, and I'm learning now still in this stage of always putting him first, right? You know, like before I do this, make sure that he's first before I do that. But right now I do say he's my Heavenly Papa. He's my go-to. He's the one.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Heavenly
That's awesome.
Papa. I love that.
Relationship, we could call them, like you said, you don't need anybody else to go to him for you. You can go right to him yourself.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about. That's because that's what he wants, you know. You know, especially.
I think pandemic does that too. That has done that for me, right? Where I'm not in a church where you're just learning from you and the pastor. It's, oh, I have to go read it a little deeper for myself. Oh, I have to dive a little deeper. I don't have 4 or 5 conversations happening all the time where, oh, I got to understand this. I have to seek him even differently now when I read the Bible. This time, even not being inside of a church building, has taught me that, where you need to know him. It's like you need to know him for yourself, not just because you heard something or someone told it to you. Like, go dive deep. You go search.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time. That, you know, even in the midst of this pandemic, you know, he's still drawing people closer to him.
Yeah.
You know, even though the doors of the church, quote unquote, are closed, the church is wide open.
Yes, come on.
You know, so that's awesome. It's an awesome thing.
But I love that you said that no one has to go to him for you, because I know for me, I used to be in a, can you pray for me? But God is saying, but you can come and bring that to me, you know. So it's such a powerful thing to hear someone say, but I can go to my Heavenly Papa myself. It's okay. You don't have to intervene for me. He knows me, and we talk all the time.
Yeah.
So
you know, the kid too that he gave me that keeps me on my knees. Oh, he knows.
So thanks, but no thanks. I got this.
Right. I got this. I'm good. Appreciate it, but I'm good.
Appreciate it.
I love it. So what stage are you in right now in your relationship with God?
I would say I'm at a stage of coming back where it's not like I left, but I do find, and since we can be real, right? Because that's what the whole topic about this is I find that has been this, because I've been secluded in a way. Yeah. I'm not as sensitive to certain things of the Lord. Whereas before, it's like, oh, I could watch a service and still be on my phone and doing this and doing that and cleaning, where I'm not as just paying attention to that one thing. Or I'm on a call and it's a ministry call and I'm like, you know, still doing something else, while normally I would just be focused and I would just be in that. Or you hear people, you know, leaving the church or leaving the things of the Lord, and before my heart would be so sensitive to that and I would want to reach out and but now I'm like, oh, I'm busy and I'm doing this. Right. And so I feel like I'm at a stage where it's like, you know, when you listen, like reading the story of Malachi, right, where the people weren't taking it as serious, right? That call, they were building up them and not building up the things of the Lord. And I feel like that story kind of amplifies where I'm at, where it's like, you're not really recognizing that you need to still be in a place where you feel the Lord in a sensitivity. Like, oh, you're not going to my prop thing? Hold on. Like, you know, like I shouldn't have to wait. Right. It wasn't like that before, but I think that this season of seclusion and being in my house and doing my own thing has made me more of, oh, they're gonna be okay, I'm gonna pray, and you know, whereas now I'm like, get on that. Maybe you need to go call that person. Maybe you need to talk to that person. So I'm in a place of coming back where, you know, make me sensitive to those things again. You know, let my spirit burn for those people that make me put in my life. And now I'm just like, oh, they're okay. Fine. You know.
So let me ask you this, because I'm sure there are people that have experienced that, are or will. I'm going to ask you too. Why do you think that happened? And I'm not going to say there's a wrong or right because this is your journey. And how did you figure out it was happening? Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. First question of why?
Yeah.
I do believe that because I am one of those like social butterflies, you know how I would come to your desk, I wouldn't send an email.
Yes.
I go to that fourth floor and I go find my friend. For me, I'm one of those people where it's like I love to be in communion with people. I love to, let's break bread together, let's talk, and I think that because I'm home and I'm more isolated than ever before, it's easier for me to be desensitized to those things.
Okay.
When before, if I'm like in and out of church, or I am in, going to a small group, or I'm going face to face or meeting people for coffee, it's different. Not that it's an excuse, but we can hide behind a computer screen even while doing this.
Absolutely.
It's easy for us to be like, oh, let me turn off my camera and I'm still doing something while someone's talking and it's important and I should be listening. Right. And you kind of thinking you're doing the right thing because you're showing up, but you're not really giving that full attention that I would have been given if I was like face to face.
Right.
So I've allowed that to become a habit, become something that I've been okay with. And I don't think that that's something that my spirit agrees with, because I would feel comfortable. I wouldn't feel like it was something that was wrong for me. It may not be wrong for everyone, right, but wrong for me, because you kind of know when it doesn't sit well with you.
Right.
I mean, like,
yeah,
you should have said something before you got off. You should have reached out to it. You know. And I think that once you've already had that relationship in your spirit is strong enough, and you've already had that, when you try to downplay it, it's not the same.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a coming back season for me.
Yeah. So was it the conviction, if you will, that kind of something said, hey, okay, this is not, or was it someone saying something? Was it a moment? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So in the church that I currently attend, we do a corporate fast, 21-day fast in the beginning of the year. And, for anyone who knows about fasting, that's a time where you have decreased a lot of yourself, your flesh, what you want. And that allowed me to get back to a place where you're so sensitive, where you're like, oh, I missed that part. Hearing from you in that way. And that allowed me to say, well, what have I been doing, right? And so that reflection happened at that moment back in January, where I started to say, oh, okay, I get it. I see what I've been doing, because I was forced to see it through the fast. Sometimes you ask God to show you your heart, or to show yourself, and then he shows you and you're like,
you're like, you know what? Not that part of my heart, God. The other part.
The good part. The good part.
I thought you were going to show me something else.
Right.
But it never ends, right? We're never going to come to a place of perfection.
Ever.
We can drive towards it. But the moment that God shows me something and I work on it, he shows me something else. And I'm like...
Well, so you just ain't never satisfied,
right,
huh?
You're like, can I celebrate this small victory for a moment?
I just got opportunity after opportunity.
5 minutes. 5 minutes. I appreciate that you did the fast, because as you indicated, anybody that takes on a fast knows what comes with it.
Yes.
You never come out of the fast the same, ever. And it's interesting because you can go in thinking, oh, this, and God will be like, haha, let me show you something real quick.
I wasn't fasting for any of that information.
Right. You're like, I wanted to go down Park Ave. He's like, yeah, we about to make a left turn on Fulton Street because we have other things to take care of. So I appreciate that you did that. And then I really appreciate that what he showed you, you received.
Yes.
Because we could be on this journey and still not want to receive it, still choose to ignore it, still say, well, okay, I get it, and put it off and put it off and put it off. So I appreciate you showing us that you got to a place where you were like, well, you know what? Okay, she'll be okay. And then you got back on track, because those are the things we don't talk about. Yeah. We never talk about the areas where, as quote unquote Christian as we are, when we're not quite Christian.
Right.
Like,
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love the fact that you said, I have if I'm on a Zoom call or whatever, I have the camera off and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and people need to understand that, that's not connecting. You're missing the connection at that point. Because again, he wants all of you in that moment. He wants all of you all the time, of course, but he wants all of you in that moment. And if you're not giving your all to him, you may be missing something that's vital to what he would have you to do, or something he needs to relate to you for your purpose, for your calling. But you're over here vacuuming or cooking or
you're Martha.
Huh?
You're Martha mode. You're in Martha.
You're
mode.
Martha mode. There
and
you
you're
go.
in Mary mode.
Absolutely.
But imagine if he did that to us. We're crying out, and he's going, right, 1 second. And he's talking to JC over here. Hold on 1 second.
He hit that PlayStation.
And you're like, but God, I have a real problem here. And he's like, well, I'm listening. I'm okay. That would kill us. That would, oh my gosh, but you're God. You're my Father.
Yeah.
But I'm talking to you. And he's like, right. And I gave my son for you, and you're not even giving me 24 minutes out of 24 hours.
Yeah.
So, oof.
I want to tell you said something about like we don't talk about this, and I think that because oftentimes, especially in the society that we live in, and I'm not saying that we should all just be like, oh, this is a problem and this is a problem, right? Because I'm also going to come with a solution, right? I'm not just going to tell you the problem. But one of the things I realize is that we want to wait until we've already surpassed it, right? Are we ready? Because it's better to tell the story from a place that we've already succeeded on. And what we fail to realize is that there's someone else on that journey who may not have realized it yet, but if they hear it, they'll say, I think I'm doing the same thing. You'd be so surprised when you're open to say, yeah, that's not perfect. That part is not perfect, but I'm working on it. And here's what I'm doing.
Right.
And someone else then gets to say, oh, that's actually something that I've been experiencing. I just didn't even know how to put it into words. I didn't even know how to say it. So we always want, I feel like a lot of times in the Christian society, we want the right answer. I can give you right Bible answers, but when you start to face the real answer, that's when you start to dig deeper, and that's when you start to deal with some of the issues, right? It's different between right and real. And I think that when Jesus showed up in every scenario that he showed up, he was real. And I think that that's hard to be like him, but isn't that what we're striving for? That's why I love the conversation that we're having, because I can come here and I can be real because you guys have created a space for realness. And I think that that's a part where I think that if we start to break down those barriers, we'll have a lot more people who are willing to continue their walk versus walk away from it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because too many people are painting this quote unquote perfect picture. And it's like, I need you to tell me that you go home and you cry out and you go, how am I going to make it to tomorrow, God? I don't need to see this perfect picture right now because I'm broken. But because you're not saying anything, I'm not saying anything. So we just two broken people walking next to one another looking good.
Going back to the story of Malachi, right? And I encourage everyone to read it. And it's in my mind because I read it again this morning in preparation of this. But thinking back, the things were held up for them, right? They weren't receiving their blessings because they were shortchanging God in every area. They were bringing them their second best.
Yes.
And so God was holding up everything. And I don't say that I want this to be right so that God can give me what I feel like he has planned for me. I say it because I think about my legacy. I think about what's being held up for my children, what's being held up for their children. And the longer that I take in order to get me right with God, the longer it takes for something else to happen for them. And so it's not just about me, right? It's about everyone that plays a part in that circle. So, when someone's thinking about, well, I'm praying and I'm doing this and I'm tithing or I'm that. Yeah, but are you doing it in the right spirit? Are you doing it in the right way? Are you coming up with your best, or are you just saying, I'm going to show up? But,
or you just checking a box?
Ooh. Yeah. So it's going back to that story because that story is all about taking Jesus serious, that fear from the Lord, but from the reverence part, right? That love part that it says, I love you more than if anything else. I want to obey you. I want to do it right.
Nashira, that's deep that you said, because you said in Malachi it's about shortchanging God in everything. But what do we mostly hear in the church when it comes to Malachi? It's that same statement: will a man rob God? And it's always talking about money. But if you dig deep into Malachi, it wasn't just about the tithing.
Come on. And
it was shortchanging him in everything.
Yes.
You know, so a lot of people miss that message in Malachi, probably because it's not taught correctly. Because they always talk about the only time they mention Malachi, and in my experience, the only time it's been mentioned in church for me, it's always about tithing.
Yeah.
It's always about the money.
Right.
You know, let's not rob God. Let's make sure we give our 10%.
Right.
You know, bring it to the storehouse, you know. And we all know what that means, you know. I mean, let's be real. Right. You know, so, but they were shortchanging God in every area.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and that's not taught.
Yeah.
You know, so that's important. So definitely, that's a nugget out there that everyone should definitely dive into Malachi and really understand that book and what's being said and taught in that scripture.
Because if you're writing a check, but you're not tithing your time and helping your brothers and sisters in Christ, and you're not encouraging and praying with and walking with and serving, then you are shortchanging God. You are. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And writing a check is not a replacement for spending time with God, having a relationship, reading your word. It doesn't replace it. Oh my gosh, that's powerful. Thank you for bringing that up.
Look,
the time that we live in right now.
Right.
It's about everything. Adultery, leaving your spouse for no good reason, for reasons other than what he had made acceptable. He talked about the tithe. He talked about building your own home versus building his, you know, not having justice for the widow or the orphans. And so when you think about all of that has minimal to do with tithing.
Yeah.
That really just has to do with your heart. And so when you start to think about it, it's a heart change, right? Mm-hmm. It's a love story. And you really got to figure out, like, what do you love? I mean, that's what I got out of the story. But
you even said it earlier when you were talking about your financial journey and with your kids and how you were using money to replace, you know, not replace love, but in place of certain things.
Yeah.
For your kids, you know what I'm saying? And you hear that with a lot of single parents as well. You know, my sister, before she got married again, she's the same way. She would just smother her kids with whatever. But she was working and she couldn't spend the time. So she realized it was the guilt of not being there.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure you have everything you want because I know I'm not there.
Everything you want with quotes because... Right. Because what they really want is her. They really wanted you.
Right. Right.
That's what my kids wanted. They wanted their mommy. They wanted a healthy mommy, actually, right? They wanted a present mama. They wanted someone to play with them on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They wanted me to love them. And so learning how to love my kids was brand new. But I had to learn how to love Jesus first.
Yes.
And so if I go back and I think about it now, man, I learned to love him, right? I had to learn how to love him so that I could learn how to love them. So it really, you know, it was a trickle effect for us.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome. I love it.
Ooh, I'm good. I feel like I need to go read Malachi. I feel like I need to write a check. I need to go see if somebody needs some help. Man, Nashira. It's supposed to be your relationship. How you talking about mine? No, I love it. I love these talks, and I love the honesty.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
I love the honesty. Yes.
That's the space that we try to create. You know, so you can, like you said, the realness. We keep it light, we keep it family, because we want to get rid of the stigma that you can't have fun and laugh and still love on God.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think that, it has to be stoic, and Jesus said it, and no, Jesus wasn't uptight like that. You know, I'm sure Jesus has, God has a sense of humor because he gave us a sense of humor. So, yes,
indeed.
It's a beautiful thing.
That's right.
Yeah, I love it.
Any final thoughts for you? Did you want to ask? You're good?
No, I feel like, do you have any more golden nuggets? Because you feeding me. So, I'm still hungry. What you got?
so at the end, we always ask our guests, just something for our listeners that you would want to share with them, or, words of wisdom, words of advice, or something like that, just for our listeners.
What would I share? I would share love, right? Like, learning about God and reading your Bible, that's a story of love. There's not a single time that I've read that Bible and not summed it up as love. I've gotten the pleasure to work in corporate and now work on my own. And every conversation, most of the time, what people want is love.
Yeah.
Whether it's money, whether it's something else. And let me tell you something, you would find it in Christ. You would find that love. That love that you're looking for can never be replaced by an amount. It's nice, but it would never, ever be replaced by money. It would never be replaced by people, places, or things. God would give you that love. He'll show up for you, and besides anything that he'll bless you with, because he does want to bless us, right? He does want us to prosper. He does. That love, that abundance is overflowing, and you'll find that it will change your heart. If it changed my heart, and I told you I was not a happy person, I didn't even like humans. Like, God permitted children because these humans are not well. But now I'm like, man, I love people. I love love, and I think that that's just because it's a reflection of what I have with him.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And once again, where can people find you?
Yes.
So it's breaking-cycles.com.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Well, there you have it, family. Nashira Lynton. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you coming on. God bless you and keep you. And love and blessings, people. Love and blessings. Thank you for listening to Let's Talk R&R with Tony and Lisa. Follow us on Instagram at Let's Talk R&R, where we welcome your feedback.